Hey everybody, John at Midnight Paint and Body. In this video, we are finishing the 70 Dodge Charger. So if you're new to the channel, guys, 70 Dodge Charger RT SE, I've been working on for a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Customer car. It is new everything, frame rails up, other than the doors and fenders, I guess, and hood. But everything else, floors, rockers, quarters, inners, outers, upside downers, trunk floor it's all new. So, what I've done today, it's already halfway through the day, but I spent the entire morning finishing up the polishing on the car. So, it is as good as I am able to get it. Is it a 100% perfect show car? No. Is it really, really good? Yes. I think so anyway. It's super nice. If somebody wants to pick it apart that bad that they're going to find a few little flaws, well, have at her, I guess. This car was built to be driven. So, a couple little things. So last video, we did the back end, put all this together. I was having trouble with that weather strip in the trunk. That was something I was fighting with in the last one. So I've ended up going to this completely different weather strip. It's quite small, but it seems to be doing what it needs to do just right. And it's not holding the trunk up out of alignment. Except obviously I need to adjust that latch a hair again. Anyway, that's minor. So, I'm going to move on now to some more assembly. I'm going to start basically running around doing some of the small stuff, side marker lights, some little stuff like that. We're going to move on to the doors. So I have got all 4 windows in place now. I would like to get the door handles and stuff in. Kind of looking forward to getting the RT scoops on the doors, which I haven't polished those yet. Some little stuff, hood pins, stuff like that. So I'm going to start picking away at it. So I'll bring you guys in to see it periodically. I think the main focus of this video will probably be the front end, assembling all the new grille and all of that stuff. Actually, I've still got a bunch of pieces that need to be sandblasted, painted flat black, but I guess that'll be tomorrow. So anyway, let's get going. Little check-in here, guys. Been kind of picking away at assembly. Nothing's really been worthwhile turning the camera on for. It's all pretty basic stuff. But have our side marker lights installed. Our hood pins are installed. So now these factory style hood pins. Now these will probably come around to the grill here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where they mount, but. And then our signal light indicators, I've got, well, I had them both in, but as I was tightening this one in, I didn't realize the stud was spinning in, not just the nut, and I actually went through that cast metal. So this one I'm going to need to do a little bit of filler and repaint before I can put it in, but yeah, it's one of those things. So yeah, that's pretty much all so far. Marker lights, hood pins. Yeah, and it all just kind of takes longer than it should. By the time I made some new studs for these things and found all the nuts and all the little messing around stuff. And, oh yeah, and then incidentally, if you don't know, you'll notice the roof is kind of sanded. It is getting the black vinyl top back on this car. It would get sanded for that, just for the adhesion of the glue for the vinyl. The reason I actually sanded it was because the car looks so nice. The roof didn't look great because it's, it's kind of dry spray. I wasn't focused on getting a good finish because I knew it was getting vinyl top. Yeah, and I just kind of got sick of everyone walking in the shop focusing right on the roof that looked bad. So, that's why that's sanded. Anyway, I'm going to move on to this passenger door. I'm going to dig out all the door handle, all the pieces for that, and see how much of that I can get done today. Well, it's the next day once again. Still working on the charger, so a little bit of progress to bring you guys in to see. So got door handle and door lock in on passenger door. So everything's all in. So door lock, inside door handle. I have got this scraper trim piece on this door. Aftermarket stuff. Fits nice once it's on, but definitely didn't go on without a fight. Now what I've been working on next here, so here's our scraper for the back window. But now you see, it looks like it fits nice there. And it has a little bit of a turn up on the end. But I'm not really sure how that's supposed to go because we just kind of come to a stop right there. But then I can see this one bracket I had to re-weld in there. I am sticking out a little bit, so I might need to roll that window down, tap that in a little. I think that's probably what we're at there. And then this will actually protrude out right out to the end of the window, and then there's a rubber piece that's going to go over that. So I need to get that in enough to where the door is going to close. So I've got a good inch that it needs to go in. So I'll fight with that a little bit more. Move that before I slam the door on it. I just finished polishing this trim piece that goes here, so I'm gonna put that on just to see how it fits. So I was about to do that, but it's actually quite nice out today. I still have a stack of stuff. I've got a couple of these pieces I've previously sandblasted, but I've got all the front bumper brackets and front bumper bar and stuff here. Drive shaft, it just needs to be cleaned up and painted. That's obviously not being installed for a while, but I think I'm going to go out and finish sandblasting all this stuff because it is nice and warm out, or warm-ish today. You know, not below zero anyway. And then I'll get those in and get them painted, and then that way I can continue with chrome and trim today, and then maybe tomorrow I'll be able to start getting this stuff in place on the front end, get our front bumper on. So, just to check in, guys, I'm not filming bolting in door handles and stuff. Because honestly, I mean, you know, what do you do? Film dinking around for an hour with little trim pieces and rods and brackets. It always takes time. It's tough to kind of film that stuff. And again, with this stuff, you know, each of these pieces I need to take over to the polisher and polish one at a time as I put them on. So I'll just keep coming back for check-ins. So you guys can kind of see how it's coming along. It is kind of nice that the roof isn't nice on this car. I can pile stuff on it. But anyway, I'll bring you guys back when I make a little more progress. So I went outside and sandblasted a couple of parts. Turned into a whole bunch of parts. So I have all of these goodies that are going to be painted in like a satin black. So bumper brackets, inner pieces, stuff that's not super visible. These are actually rear window moldings for inside the car. So they were kind of shabby, so I just dusted those off the blaster, and I'll spray those as well because they're also a satin black. So I am going to go for lunch. When I come back, I'm going to epoxy and paint all of these parts, and then I'll continue on with some assembly on the car. So I moved ahead a little bit with this chrome here on the quarter panel. So now I thought actually that one of these went on there first, but they do not. That was just one of those things where, again, I didn't take it apart, so I'm just kind of figuring some of this stuff out. So the way these go, doors I'm not getting hit there. So we've got this, so this chrome trim goes on first. It needs to be screwed on, a couple of screws along there. Now I just undid the window regulator so it just all dropped down so I could get right in there with this glass out of the way, but that's just 3 bolts. So this chrome gets screwed on, and then this scraper goes on with those metal tabs just like they all do on top of the chrome. So it took me a minute to figure it out, but not a big deal. So the only thing is, of course, putting this original chrome on. These are new quarter panels. Nothing goes without a fight. That was not easy to put on. It fits. I mean, I guess it fits fine. So I can see I'm gonna have to put a little seam sealer in there, but I mean the vinyl top will be coming down to, I'm not even sure where it goes to, down here somewhere. And then once the vinyl top is on, the rest of these chrome drip rail moldings will go on. So those are kind of last. But I'm gonna keep picking away with that. And then I did get all this stuff sprayed up today. So this is all just kind of a satin black, so it'll dull off as it dries overnight. So, as you can see, I had a whole whack of parts in here, so that'll give me a whole lot more to do tomorrow. So hopefully I get the rest of the chrome trimmed, the rest of the kind of outside stuff there, and then I can move on to this front bumper, kind of figuring out how that all goes together. So, until tomorrow. Well, I'm back on the charger here. Been a couple hours this morning, so I've got a bit buttoned up there. Something I was working on, I was excited to get these door scoops, whatever you want to call them, installed. Customer had gotten these RT emblems. They look like new old stock, or they'd been taken off something years ago. I mean, they look new. They are stamped Chrysler. They might be repo. But, so I went to put these on and realized they mounted in a different spot. So I had to drill a couple holes. But they unfortunately just don't fit the inset. It is so close, but they're just not gonna go. You can see they're just a hair too big. So they're obviously incorrect for this application. So that sets us back a little bit there. But that's okay, because these can go on anytime. They are, 2 spring clips and 2 nuts that are totally accessible in the inside of the doors. So those can go on anytime. So I have finished up this side. So I have now got all of the weather strip in. That one's coming down a little bit. I'll just readjust that. Got the door weather strips on. All these little end pieces. I've got the inside scrapers on here now. So these windows work nice. They're nice and tight, but that's actually a good thing. I like the way they feel. And then this one, yeah, we did all this yesterday. It won't get any inside trim until the interior goes on. But then, as always with new weather strip, she is tight, but my door gaps are still good. My door is out just a hair, not even enough I would even worry about it, but I know that will settle with that weather strip as it compresses. So, that is one side of the door opening anyway, taken care of. So I'm going to move around, finish up the other side, and then we'll probably move on to the front bumper and grille stuff, I'm thinking. So bring you guys back for that. Well, it's the end of the day again. I kind of forgot about you guys. So I've been plugging away on this thing. I have got this side all buttoned up, except I just need to polish this one piece of chrome, put it on. And I've been working on the front end, which I told you guys I was going to bring you along, but I forgot. Just been a busy day. So I have got the headlight buckets installed. I had to pick up some new headlight adjusters, but they only had one package at the auto parts store, that the ones I wanted, so I've got one more coming tomorrow. So this bucket's loose. I've got the bumper brackets bolted to the frame loosely, and I'm just putting this bumper bar in place right now. So I have 3 of the bolts lined up. I was just fighting with this last one. I need to get that bracket pulled over a bit. I think I might need to put a ratchet strap or something on it tomorrow, but I'm getting tired, so I will leave that for tomorrow. So that is where she is at. I know it doesn't look like much for pretty much been a 10-hour day, but man, oh man, this stuff takes time. You know, it's all the little things. I mean, obviously fitting up all this kind of stuff, it's, you know, it takes time. Cleaning up little pieces and trim and bolts and nuts. And, you know, just for instance, you know, I probably spent an hour and a half on that door handle before putting it in. Taking it apart, polishing it, lubing everything up. It had the nuts seized onto the studs, so the studs were pulling out of the handle. So by the time I got those all loosened up and cleaned up and everything put together nicely, man, this assembly, it just takes time. And fitting all of this stuff, I've got everything pretty good. So it's still, everything is still going to need a final tweak, but she is coming along. So hopefully tomorrow I can maybe start getting the chrome bumper and possibly the grill on this thing. Now we do have a brand new grill and a bunch of pieces. I've got the old grill in a box over there. Quite honestly, haven't even looked at it. I didn't take that part apart, so I'm not really familiar with how it went, but I mean, that's all. You know, stuff only goes together one way. I'm not worried about that, but this being a 70 Charger, it has hideaway headlights, so I'm sure there's going to be some intricacies with putting that thing together. But anyway, enough babbling. I am calling it a day, and we'll see you guys in the morning. It's the next day once again. So I've been working on the Dodge a little bit. I'm basically just getting started. I've installed the aerial, pretty exciting. And I just wanted to show you guys a little trick. This is something I use quite a bit, actually, working with old cars, new cars, all kinds of stuff. Now, I showed you yesterday with this bracket. Just wasn't quite lining up. And with a freshly painted car, I mean, I don't want to be getting in there with pry bars and jacks or anything like that. So I've just hooked up a ratchet strap to the bottom of that bracket, and I had just really light tension on it, actually. It didn't take much at all, and there's our hole. So just a simple thing, a little trick, might save someone a little headache or a few scratches or something in assembly some days. So thought I'd show you that. Ratchet straps can be your friend. Well, time has come to unwrap our new front bumper. Let's see what is in this, I suspect, very expensive box. There we are, brand new front bumper. So it might not look very shiny. It's got kind of an oily coating, and it's usually these kind of parts have, just some protection. So I'm going to wipe that down, and we'll see, I guess, how it goes on the car. Well, I just set the front bumper in place. Now I can see that these 4 carriage bolts that I put in and just tightened down need to come back out, because actually that chrome bumper sits right on top here, and those go through the bottom of that and down. So I need to figure that out, and then I've got this, which appears to be like a rad support bar. It's got this radiator baffle piece on it, but I quite honestly don't even know where this goes. So I'm gonna go have a cup of coffee, sit down on my computer and Google some images and kind of figure this out, and then we'll come back in a bit here and hopefully slap her together. Well, it's on there. Not gonna lie, this was a little nerve-wracking actually, because I didn't take this apart. I did actually go on the old interwebs and found a bit of a breakdown schematic of the front bumper assembly, so that, just to kind of get an eyeball on where each of these pieces goes, that helped a lot. So anyway, I'm gonna continue on bolting this up a bit. And then shortly we'll unbox the new grille and see what we have to work with there. So there's our front bumper in place. Now I haven't snugged everything up yet because I don't know how the grille goes in. For all I know, this all has to come back off again. But it's on there, it lines up, everything looks good so far. So let's go over here and open up another really expensive box. Okay, let's see what's in box number 2. Oh, baby, turn this around so you guys can see it. Look at that. Thing of beauty. And then, a couple more boxes over here. Brand new headlight doors as well. That is pretty darn cool. Alright, so I'm going to go through a little bit more stuff here, and then we'll kind of have a look at how this goes together. I do have an original grille over there I haven't even looked at, but I'm going to dig that out, and that'll give us some guidance for putting this together. So apparently I'm doing a terrible job of filming on this particular video because I keep forgetting. I think my brain is just so wrapped up in figuring all this stuff out that I'm not thinking about turning the camera on. But I have just finished assembling this grille. So there's our hideaway headlights. Now this is pretty cool. Like, I mean, it is funny the way this came. So there was the grille, and then each headlight door is separate, and then each mount for the headlight doors is separate, and then each little bag of bolts is separate. You know, it's funny, and there's just that it wouldn't just come as an assembly. But anyway, took a little while to put it together, but not a big deal. You know, we really are in the golden age of rebuilding these cars when you can get stuff like this. You know, you just get it all brand new. You know, when most of the old stuff, you know, all this stuff, it gets, you know, it's so broken and brittle. I mean, to rebuild something like this would be a massive undertaking. This is from a Charger 500. Obviously, this was a spare grille he had in the originals in the box over there. It's in worse shape than this one. But it is pretty much lunchtime. I still need to go and grab some carriage bolts. But I just wanted to get this together and kind of set it in place to make sure I don't need to disassemble that front end again in order to put this in. But I'm going to take a break. Hopefully when I come back, you guys can help me put this grill in. All right, the time has come. I'm going to slip that completed grill in here. So hopefully it goes smoothly. Not exactly sure how it goes, but I think I've got a good idea. So you guys tell me if I'm doing it wrong. Who am I kidding? You guys always tell me when I do stuff wrong. I don't think if I dropped this and broke it, I would probably just close my shop and leave the country. Anyway, I'm going to fight with this a little bit and I'll bring you guys back. Some things are better to be done off camera. Well, there's our grill in place. So, you saw me fighting with it there. I turned the camera off for a few minutes. It turns out there's a bracket here and here on the bottom. I just had to take those off and then it slid in and I was able to put those brackets on and attach them. Actually, it's this one right here. Dark, I guess. So, it's like an L bracket that attaches right there. Once I took those off, grill slid in, no problem. So, just a learning thing, a little bit of messing around, but I got her. So, there's our hideaway headlights. So that's pretty cool. That's in place. So, once again, pretty much the end of the day. So I'm going to tidy up a bit. We'll hit this thing again in the morning and yeah, we might just be able to finish up the last few details that I have and it may be ready to go home to the customer. Well, it's Friday once again. I'm trying to get finished up on the charger. So a couple things I just thought I'd show you guys. So this is some of the stuff you run into with these cars or this kind of work. Now we did just mount these signal lights. Got them both in. They both equally fit like garbage. But that's just one of those things. I mean, it's the way they are made. I mean, this is an aftermarket panel and aftermarket lights and they just don't fit. And quite honestly, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to go with it. So they are what they are. Those are in. I went to put on this aftermarket radiator, whatever you call it, the hood to rad seal. So it's supposed to mount up here to these factory holes. I think 2 of the holes line up, the rest are, you know, they're like here and there. So that doesn't work at all. So I can either punch new holes in this rubber, which might be the thing to do, but I actually have the original seal soaking in a little bucket of gun wash. So I'm going to see how the rubber looks, if the original seal will clean up nice enough. I mean, it's covered in overspray and it's dirty, but if it cleans up nice, I'm going to put the original back on rather than this one. But other than that, I've got a few other bits and pieces to do. I can't put the door vents on, or the door scoops, whatever you want to call them. Customer does have the proper RT emblems coming for those, but the emblems have to go on the scoops before the scoops go on the doors. But those are easy. They click on 2 nuts on the back, so they can go on anytime. His side view mirrors were pretty shabby, so he has ordered new side view mirrors, so those won't be going on. But yeah, a few other odds and ends. And we're getting close. Really close. So I cleaned up this original hood seal. See, actually just soaking it in some gun wash and wiping it down, it looks brand new. So I think that's a better option in this case. So we'll put this one on rather than that ill-fitting aftermarket. I'm using the new clips from the aftermarket one. So while I was cleaning this up, I was just thinking there, guys, about you know, doing these cars, or you know, you go to a car show or you see somebody's nice car somewhere. Guys are always kind of, you know, oh, I can't believe he didn't do that, or I would have done this, and I can't believe they didn't, you know, do a better job with this or that. You got to remember that every one of these cars is different. Everybody has their own stress level, I guess, when it comes to the money they put into these things. Now, in this case, now this fellow that owns this car, I've known him for many years. He's a super good guy, and he's just a hard-working dude like the rest of us. He's got a good job, obviously. He can pull this off, but he's not some rich guy just throwing money at an old car. And it kind of makes me think about, you know, some of the shops you see on TV or whatever, say like the Bitchin' Rides TV show, Can Dig It Design. I tend to use them as a reference because I really admire their work. The cars they build are absolutely incredible. I don't necessarily like the cars they build because personally I don't like the big wheels and the restomod stuff. I kind of more personally prefer like the day two muscle car stuff. You know, the car that looks like someone bought it in 1970 and went and, you know, on the second day bolted on a set of Kragers and traction bars and some headers, and that's the stuff I like personally, but we all like different things. But then you look at those cars, say, built at Can Dig It Design. If you kind of look up who they build cars for, their customers are typically millionaires and billionaires. So you might look at a car and go, oh, I can't believe they, you know, maybe it's at a car show and they didn't paint the underside of the hood. I can't believe they didn't do that. Well, you got to think this, it all takes money. If you're paying, whether you're paying someone like that to build the car, maybe you have endless pockets. But if you're paying someone like me to build the car, I mean, I've got a much lower shop rate. But at the end of the day, this is all hourly. If I spend an hour cleaning up the inside of the hood, I charge the customer an hour. If we're building a full-on show car and I spend 10 hours cleaning up the inside of the hood, well, I'm billing the customer 10 hours. You know, these jobs are never a set rate. A guy like me, you know, I'm just like you guys. I need a paycheck every 2 weeks. So if I'm building these cars for somebody, you know, I need to get paid from the customer every 2 weeks. And I mean, I'm not complaining about anybody. I've never had a problem because most of my customers are working stiffs like myself, like the rest of us. You know, they understand I don't have a paycheck coming from anywhere else. So this is, you know, I got bills to pay and stuff too. But yeah, I was just kind of thinking about that aspect of these cars sometimes. You know, this is definitely the most involved, high-end job I have ever done, to be honest. You know, I've done some really nice cars for guys, but never to this extreme. But just something to keep in mind if you're ever, you know, picking apart somebody else's car. You got to think, you know, what was their budget? Who did they have build it? You know, did they do it themselves? There's always, yeah, just always a ton of variables in these things. A little bit of glue there. So yeah, anyway, that's my deep thought of the day. I'm going to continue on and see what else I can put together. I think I need to pull the front wheels off. I've got some inner shields to put in there, so I think I'll do that and see where we end up. So jumping ahead a little bit again. So I've been working on these front fillers. So these were originals that I had sandblasted and repainted. So I've got this one in, and now there is a filler panel that goes up in here. For that we have new ones. So here's that one. So I've been working on the bits and pieces. So I had all these packages of seals. So I have figured out that, so this seal goes up the side of this panel, and then I believe these kind of horseshoe ones go around the upper. So I'm going to attach that, and then we'll get this guy in place. So here is one side put together. Got our shield in there, our front shield in there. If you've been following along with this car at all, you'll know that none of this is staying. Customer has a full tubular QA1 front suspension for this. That's going to change it to a coilover and do away with the old torsion bar suspension. So this was just bolted back in with a couple of bolts just for me to be able to roll this thing around. But I'm going to bolt this wheel back on and put these shields on the other side and carry on from there. Well guys, I have officially taken this car as far as I am able. Obviously there's still a lot of finishing up. That's going to be the customer's baby from this point on. A few little things I still need to do, but I can still take care of stuff. And of course I will be available to give him a hand if he needs it for anything that I have done or haven't done. So one of the biggest things, one of the most common questions I get on a job like this is always how much. So I'm just going to tell you guys, I mean, that's kind of personal stuff. Like, that is his business, what he's putting into this car. I will tell you that, it's a steep amount of money to get a car to this point, but there are very few cars where you can put this kind of money into them and not be upside down. For the most part, I mean, you restore a muscle car, you spend $100 or $200 or whatever, $100,000 on it. You know, I always say it costs $100,000 to build a $50,000 car. In this case, if you are aware of the values of this car, this is a very valuable car. It is a 70 Charger RT SE 446 pack car. So it's definitely one where, I mean, he is never going to sell the car, but he would never lose on it. So we'll put it that way. I will say my hat's off to guys that do this. You see guys restoring a car, you know, in their home garage or just in their nights and weekends. Man, there is a mountain of hours into doing something like this. And of course, a mountain of expense. Even if you're doing all the work yourself, just the parts and materials and everything you need, I mean, you've got to consider, I mean, it's not just your paint and primer and all that stuff, it's everything leading up to that. I mean, there's welding wire and grinding discs and sandpaper, and it's just, in this trade, you're constantly using consumables. So it's not an easy thing to do. But if you have followed along with this car this far, I thank you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope everyone likes the car. I will do my best to follow up with it as he puts it together, or maybe once it is put together and back on the road. I'm pretty sure he'll be okay with me coming out and doing a video on it when she's running and driving, and you know, it's got all the suspension and the big wheels and everything he's doing on it. So, as always, you guys, if you haven't, you can help me out by hitting the subscribe button and by leaving a comment on the video. And once again, thank you so much, guys, for following along with this. And stay tuned for the next big project, the 52 sedan delivery. We'll see you then.